everybody. Welcome to the Damon Friedman Show. This isn't just a podcast. This is a movement, and movements are always started by leaders that are passionate about a cause, and they gather a team, a unit, and then they're organized, and then they do everything that they can to accomplish the mission. Well, we want to learn more about these leaders, and today I have an incredible leader, passionate about her cause, making an atomic impact, because those are the only kind of people that I ever come to the Damon Friedman Show. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Miss Leah Amico. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, Damon. I'm so excited to be on your show. I love the impact that you make, and I'm with you. I just want to impact this world for good. So excited to share today.
So, for the audience out there, we've got thousands of listeners right now, and they want to know who you are. And I'm going to tell you, I know that you're pretty humble, so I'm going to have to boast a lot. I'm going to have to. I remember the first time I ever saw you, all right, and it was on a national stage, okay? And you had the opportunity to talk about your professional career. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to highlight something that's even more important. She's so humble that she's more focused on connecting and communicating with the next generation, empowering them so that they can be an unstoppable force for good. Because right now, this world is in a really bad place. But like Leah, she and I have something in common. We believe in the next generation. We believe that there's a destiny, that there's something incredible in each and every person. And we want to get that out of them so that they can actually be that world changer and that unstoppable force for good. What did Leah do? Yeah, she's just a gold medalist. Not a big deal. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Maybe she's won a few gold medals. Hold on a second. How many world championships have you had? Go ahead, Leah. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I played for Team USA for USA softball for 10 years, and I won 2 world championships, gold medals, and 2 Pan American gold medals. And then the biggest honor was representing USA in the Olympics, and we brought home 3 Olympic gold medals. And I retired just on top of the world in my sport. It was the best experience ever.
That's incredible. I'm just going to tell you, I'll be out in California, about 5 or 6 times this next year. And I'm here to tell you, I'm stopping by your shop, and I'm hoping that I can at least just hold on to that one gold medal. And if you will allow me, just put it around my neck just one time. And just get a picture of it, because I've never touched an Olympic medal before. Can you just agree on that right here on on a nationally broadcasted podcast? Can you?
I think that my gold medals have been on more necks than maybe any other Olympian. I'm not sure because I have taken these medals everywhere I've gone, and I love sharing them. I know athletes, early on, they were like, okay, you can look, but do not touch. And I was like, hey, try this on, because honestly, when you're watching it, for me up until that point, it just seems so unreachable. And so I love to share that medal and let people actually feel it and touch it. And so absolutely, I will bestow that honor upon you.
All right, that's good. That's good. But don't blame me if I start running full speed. Okay? No, I'm just kidding. So
I usually tell
today,
people, I usually tell people I will catch you, but actually, like I might have to have guards there or something when you come.
that's fair. That's fair. But I promise I won't go anywhere. All right. But so today, last time I saw you, you were on ESPN and you were broadcasting softball world championships, right? And you're still on, and you're still heavily involved in that work. Am I correct?
I do a little bit of commentating. Yeah, it's towards the end of the season for college softball, which really has exploded. I mean, it's kind of become the big deal. We have like 14,000 people in the stands at the Women's College World Series every year. So I do some work
Wow.
postseason with ESPN for TV, but then at the Women's College World Series for over 10 years now, I've been with Westwood One Sports. And so I commentate on the radio nationally as well as it's online. And so that's been a huge honor because I actually stood in that on that same field, one with Team USA, and also when I was at Arizona, we won the national championship when I was there 3 different times on that same field, and my 4th time we took second place. So every year I was in the national championship game, and now I get to talk about these young rising athletes who are superstars in their own rights.
So I guess, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you who are just tuning in right now, we've got Leah, multiple world Olympic champion here, more gold medals than I think, I can even fathom. Agreed that I can not only touch it, but wear it. And I've also agreed not to run away with it. Leah is not just one of the best softball players in the history of the sport. Not only is she one of the greatest leaders out there, but she's also a professional speaker. So when you're listening to her story is going to resonate with you. And I'm here to tell you that if you ever have her on deck, she's going to blow your socks off, man, because she's not just good with smashing that ball outside that stadium. She's good at smashing that ball in any speaking engagement. So here's the deal, Miss Leah, I need to ask you a question. Now, before we even begin this interview here, right? I'm a University of Oklahoma alumni, and my understanding is that the University of Oklahoma is actually quite good in the sport of softball. Am I right or am I wrong? Please expound.
Oh, they're the best right now. Patty Gasso is a good friend of mine, their head coach, and they are queens. Like they're on top, and I tell you, they are the team to beat every single year, and they're setting new records that have never been reached. It makes me think for the short time and the run that we had at Arizona, and prior to that it was UCLA, but now Oklahoma is really that program that everybody else is aiming for.
Yeah, I just had to ask, and I'm glad that we validated that, for everybody. So maybe you won't do it, but Boomer,
Sooner. Hey, I love what they stand for,
thank
so
you.
I will
I
say
know that
Boomer
was hard for
Sooner.
you.
I will support that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Now we can continue this interview. All right, now everything is good. So please, Miss
Now,
Leah, tell us, how did it all begin?
I I wanted to tell you really quick before we move on. If you had asked me to do the 8 clap
Okay.
for UCLA, like never happening. They were our big rivals. So I will say Boomer Sooner. Okay.
No, hey, listen, I appreciate you going ahead and submitting, all right, on the Damon Friedman show. But I appreciate it because the University of Oklahoma is number one. So let's get into this. How did you get into the sport of softball? You don't look like the typical softball player, just so that you know. Okay, I'm not, it's not like like I'm packaging of what does a softball player look like. I'm just sitting here and I'm telling you, you don't look like one. When I met you, I was like, maybe a swimmer, maybe I don't know, maybe a soccer player. I don't know, a soccer player, or maybe a track and field athlete. You told me softball with those gold medals around your neck. I was like, that's very interesting. So go ahead, tell me how this whole started. This whole thing started with Leah. All of a sudden, one day she wants to play softball. How did it go?
Yeah, I was young and I was the firstborn in my family in Southern California. And my dad was a big baseball fan. He loved the Dodgers, and he didn't have that much support from his parents and his dad growing up to do something like that he loved. So I was just rambunctious. I was like riding big wheels down, big hills, and just loved action. And so they're like, all
Nice.
right, sports will be a good outlet for her. And so they signed me up for softball. And I guess I just took to it, as well as soccer the next season. And honestly, at the youngest age, they got me involved in both of those sports. I was so aggressive on the field. I loved being a part of team sports. I don't know that I would have excelled as an individual. I am all about team and having people around you and celebrating together and doing your best, but making them better. And so honestly, it just at a young age, I kind of took to it. I look back and I see this really huge, situation that I didn't realize until more recently talking about it. But my dad signed me up for pitching lessons when I was 8 years old. Now, nowadays, no big deal. Everybody takes every type of lesson there is. But back in the day, nobody did that. And here's the other thing, my dad, he's not known for spending money. So he literally, when I was really little, we drove 45 minutes away and found this guy who just worked with a few college pitchers. And here I am at 8 years old. And I'm telling you, that investment paid the hugest dividends that none of us would have seen coming, because I fell in love with pitching. I fell in love with the challenge of it. And that kind of just grew. I made all stars. And then I got invited to play travel ball when I was 13. And then when I was 14, we took first place and I was the winning pitcher in the nation. And that literally each step was like, oh, maybe there's more. Maybe there's more. And I just wanted to be better and better and better. And eventually that turned into wanting a college scholarship. That became the goal. And then eventually, when they added the Olympics after my first year of college, they said in 3 years, softball is going to be in the Olympics. I was 18 and I was like, that's the goal. So every time I got to one level, it was like, what's the next level? I'm going to make that happen. So it's been an amazing ride. Now, I did love soccer as well, but I finished playing through high school because softball was going to be the ride that was going to take me the furthest.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Some things that you're sharing right now. That's why wherever I go, uh, and I myself am a professional speaker, and when I'm sharing my keynote message, I do talk about my adolescent years, and I always take a tactical pause, regardless of the audience, wherever I'm at, and I always pause and I make sure that I emphasize this one point: the power of parents investing in their kids, because the reality is that for me, I didn't have a father. I mean I did, but obviously I'm here, but I'm talking about a father that wasn't present, a father that was gone the majority of my life, a father that wasn't good in the home whatsoever. And so I'm always looking at each and every man, especially out there, and saying, listen, your kids need you. And it's so important. The words that come out of your mouth will echo for the rest of their lives. And as a young man, as a boy, I needed a father big time. And right here, you're telling me, you're sharing something very passionately about how your father made a huge investment in you, which is a direct reflection of your actual success. It's crazy. The guy was driving 45 minutes. And of course, I remember back in the day, you and I are relatively the same age. We're both young. Okay. We're just getting younger. Okay. And back in the day, not everybody got, those lessons. It was actually a super gift. And, as you explained, your dad was very frugal, right? That would be the right word. Frugal. He's making sure that every dollar is appropriately, spent. And so he spent that money on you. And lo and behold, today, softball becomes a completely like explosive component of your life, not just as a player, not just as a coach, not just as a leader, but the next generation. You're just mentoring and propelling young men and women. Well, women and men, right? Because predominantly in softball, but still, I know that I'm inspired, and I've done a lot. So one of the reasons why I got you on the show. So here you are. Now you're out there. You're playing. You got that scholarship. Tell me a little bit about just you playing. Like, give me some highs, give me some lows, give me a story that literally just changed who you are, not only as a player but as a human being.
I have a couple stories, but first, I think I almost gave up and would have missed out on just the future. My freshman year at Arizona, you get to this big school, you get the scholarship. So excited to play at this next level. And I'm pitching, and our team happened to be one of the best teams out there, and we have the best home run hitter in the nation, and we're scrimmaging our own team. And she crushes a ball further than I've ever seen it off of me. And you talk about just deflated, like that. I went back to my dorm room that night, and I just called my mom in California, and I was in Arizona. I was homesick. My boyfriend was back home in California, so I was like, I just don't think I have what it takes to make it at this level, right? I felt defeated. And when you're discouraged, that's not the time to make any decisions. You need to wait until you get through it and process things, and then you can have some clarity. But I was so thankful that I turned to the right place, because if I had turned to somebody who had a victim mentality and was like, run from the hard times. Yes, and my mom was missing me being away and was like, I want you back home too. Hey, come back home. And I know players that make that choice, and that's fine for them. But I'm so glad she encouraged me, stick with it. Stick with it. Give it time. And, it wasn't 6 months later, I'm at the Women's College World Series with my team. And although I wasn't pitching in that situation, I was a designated hitter. And I got the only hit in the championship game against Lisa Fernandez in UCLA. She was a superstar. I went on to win 3 gold medals with her, and she gave up 1 hit, but it was a timely hit. And we had a runner on second base, and it didn't matter that I had no name and she had the biggest name. She threw a pitch, and I had 2 strikes on me, and I fought and I battled, and I didn't give in to what maybe all the odds against me were, right? I just battled and I believed. And I got this hit up the middle, and our runner comes around and she scores, and we win the national championship. We go on to win 1-0 on 1 hit. And that to me, I beat myself up. I don't know about you, Damon, but I'm a perfectionist. I beat myself up a lot. But if we can learn to hold on to the good as much as we beat ourselves up, just like I did in that moment, it can change everything. And I'm telling you, in that moment, I was like, I can play with the best and I can beat the best. Let's go.
Man, oh my goodness, now that I did not know, because I just assumed right off the bat, you're varsity, you're starting, the world championships, you're on the center stage. Not the case at all. Not the case at all. You're a designated hitter. You were struggling earlier that year. You debated in quitting because somebody on your team was just crushing, every pitch, and probably we still haven't even heard the ball land yet, right? And so, here you are, and you had this major dilemma. There was a fork in the road. And so, listeners out there, did you not just hear what Leah just said? She actually almost just quit. And how many of us get to this point and we do quit? As I'm listening to Leah here, as she's now finding herself at the national championships, the biggest stage in college, the biggest stage. She's a designated hitter, a no-namer, having to go up, against a big name, and then all of a sudden, 2 strikes down, she just crushes it. It didn't go out of the arena. It went perfectly straight up the middle, and it scored the only point. The only run. That's crazy. I'm going to tell you right now that I'm disappointed in myself because I was a full scholared athlete, and I, unlike you, I quit. I remember my sophomore year, I was at Western State. I was the 5th fastest miler, the 8th, 7th, 8th, fastest, 2 or whatever. And I just didn't feel like I could compete. And I was young. And, I was going into my sophomore year, and it's just one semester. And you know what? It was too tough for me, and I quit. I dropped out. Leah, on the other hand, she sat down and she said, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to fight on through." So here I am. You know what I was doing while you were winning the national championships? I was a lifeguard. Nothing wrong with being a lifeguard, but I just dropped out of full scholared athlete. Western State, we won the national title in cross country, right? Like we had studs on the team. I was busy. I was always the top dog, but when I went to college, not so. I was running with the best in the nation. I quit, and it took me a whole semester and a summer to finally figure out, okay, am I going to live my life being a quitter, or am I going to find my way to be a champion? Because I'm here to tell you that champions are not born through victory. They're born through adversity. Did you hear what I said? That's important, listeners. So here's Miss Leah. She won the gold medal. Good on you, man. Good on you. And just so that you know, for all you listeners, don't feel sorry for me. I mean, I became a professional athlete. But ultimately a tactical athlete. And I ended up, serving in the military, predominantly in special operations. So I kind of figured it out. I still had my highs. I still had my lows. And I'm honored to be, just even mentioned with Miss Leah. So Leah, you're killing it. So where do we go from here? You win the title. What happens then?
Yeah, so, then it's back to training and I'm like, okay, like you just get this like again, once you accomplish that dream, it's like what's the next dream? And that for us, was kind of just to keep this program now on top because again, we kind of beat expectations, that everybody else had. So actually my sophomore year, and this is also a big part of my story because I didn't know that it would open the door for what was to come. But, I was a pitcher and a first baseman when I was recruited. The plan was my sophomore year to have me go to first base. They taught me a little bit outfield, but what ended up happening was they recruited a couple other pitchers. So at my sophomore year, we have 4 pitchers. And, I'm pitching, I'm learning a little bit outfield. I play backup first base and I hit. And my coach called me into his office and he said, "You know what?" He said, "You're not going to pitch anymore." And I'm sure he was like nervous about, okay, how is she going to take this? Right. And he said, "But I need you in the lineup every day. I want you to be our starting center fielder, and that's going to be your role." And I know that this was a make it or break it moment. I really believe everything comes down to mentality. Everything comes down to mindset, perspective, and just how you approach everything, whether it's good news, bad news, whatever it is. And I just remember in that moment, I was like, I'm going to be the best outfitter there is. I didn't like sit and cry and go, "Oh my gosh, I've been taking pitching lessons for 10 plus years. That's what got me here. And you told me I was going to be a pitcher." I was like, "Okay, now here's the thing. I was starting back at the bottom because I didn't play outfield. So I had to learn, to angle balls and have perfect throws. And I wasn't as quick, but I learned like to be quicker than the fast players by getting a better jump and reading the balls really well. And I love this new challenge. And I crashed and burned more times than I could tell you diving for balls in the outfield because that was a new skill. I was a first baseman. I'm used to quick reactions. Now it's timing and judging it. And you cannot hold back if you're diving for a ball. You will hurt yourself. So eventually, it took a long time, but it clicked. And that year, I set the women's the record for highest batting average at the Women's College World Series. It still stands to this day, almost 30 years later. I hit 750. I went 9 for 12,
What?
and I know. So it's crazy. I don't like, I'm not the one they talk about, but when these records come up, they have to. So the biggest thing I think was that I kind of came up when it counted most, right? And it's those people you can count on when things get hard, when the battle is on. And I did terrible when we were crushing teams. I was terrible. But in the close battle, gritty games, I was like, let's go. It like everything went to a different level. And I think I lived for that challenge, for that adversity, to find the solution, to be the game changer, and to lead everybody else around you to have belief and focus and like that intensity, right? Like when people get discouraged, that's when some people want to bail out and they get discouraged. And so it's like, let's go. And so in that moment, that the key about this is that ended up leading to the opportunity a year later for them to say, hey, we want you involved with USA softball. And I am making 2 years later the first ever Olympic softball team. I was one of 15 women. I was one of the younger ones in college still. And if I had not been moved 2 years prior and gone all in with all my heart and listened to my coach and received everything they had for me, I would have never made the Olympic team. And then that literally set my path on a brand new journey.
Man, I'm going to tell you something. I had no idea about these accomplishments. There's this immediately when you're talking about the World Series, the World Series of softball, right? The national championships. And I'm listening to you and you're like, well, to this very day, I have the record, the highest batting average in the championships. And we have this immediately I thought about Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, right? Like, it's like, hey man, Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time in basketball. I don't care what anybody says. It's a fact. When it was clutch moments, right? He wanted the ball in his hand and that ball went in that hoop, man, and he won more games than you could possibly imagine when the game was on the line. That is the determination of a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal leader, the go-to individual. The regular season is great, but it takes a team. It takes a team to get to the playoffs. It takes a team to get to the championships. It's not one player at all. The same with Michael Jordan, the same with the LA Lakers and LeBron James. The reality is that the reason why Michael Jordan's won so many championships is for the same reason as you, because you're clutch. You're clutch. No disrespect on LeBron James at all. Phenomenal player, but Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Leah is the greatest softball player at all times when it comes to getting to the championships and smashing that ball with the highest batting average. Undeniable, everybody. I'm sorry. It's a fact. It's objective. It is what it is. Thank you for letting us all know that. This podcast will be promoting it forever. Okay. So here you are, you made the team, and you know what? There's just so much. There's so much to talk about. But now our audience is just, you've captured their attention. Even me, like I'm interviewing you and I'm just like, I'm blown away by just these small tidbits of accomplishments. So let's talk a little bit about what does it mean to be a professional? We've got thousands of listeners right now and they want to hear from Leah, right? Okay. So you're a champion of champions, right? You're captain of captains, right? You got titles of titles. Hey, I want to know right now, thousands of listeners, Miss Leah, what is the number one trait that you're going to say, if you want to be a leader, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to focus on. This is what's most important. There's a lot of characteristics, lots of traits, but you only get to choose one. Go ahead, Miss Leah.
I think getting other people to believe in themselves beyond what they even think is capable. I think when
I
you
love that.
prepare and you care and you lead the way and you show them, I believe you can do this, there is something powerful. So for me, what I realized was I also believed. But when I added my coach's belief and that leader in me, or when I made the Olympic team and I joined these teammates who had so much belief and they led from within our team, it like made my belief explode. It was like 10 times more, right? Like, and so I think when you add a bunch of people who believe anything is possible, and think, why can't I go out and be better than everybody else thinks? Why can't I break a new record? Why can't I, prove myself to everybody? I think that's when you see people that are unstoppable. And and anybody I get around, when I talk to Olympians, I talk to pro athletes. I have a podcast, the Gold Standard podcast, and I talk to these elite athletes, and they go on to do great things afterwards. And that's exactly what it comes down to. They believe they could. Now, some do it without outside belief, but when I had a leader who believed, I feel like it took me to a completely different level.
I'm going to tell you right now, Leah, that is so powerful. I've yet to hear anybody say that on this podcast. Of course, I always force everybody just with one, right? Because there's a lot of, approach. There's traits, there's characteristics that leaders possess. Incredible leaders, and as soon as you shared that, I all of a sudden I kind of reflected back when you were switched from first base to center field. Okay, you also said that mindset is everything. Right? You were disappointed down deep inside. You wanted to be a pitcher. Now I understand that piece. I can appreciate that. But the coach says, "Look, I need you to be the center. I need you to be in center field." There's a reason why. And you made a command decision instead of allowing it to just kind of destroy you. Mentally, you said, "All right, you want me to play outfield? Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to be the best center fielder in the universe. Not even in this country. Not even on this earth. I'm going to be the best center fielder." It kind of reminds me very much, in my Marine Corps days, a lot of people don't know because they look at my resume. Oh, you must have been in the infantry. You've been in special operations. No, that's not the case. When I joined, there was no war, and there were very few infantry slots. And the only thing that opened up, I was top third in my class, and the only thing available for me was logistics. I love logistics. It's not why I joined the Corps for. I want to be an infantryman. I want to be a reconnaissance Marine. I want to do hostage rescue. That's what I wanted to do, but that's not what they gave me. And like you, I wanted to be a first baseman, but they said you got to be a center fielder. Nothing wrong with center fields. It's just sometimes these are the things that we want. Some people join the Corps specifically to be in logistics. I got it. And so you know what? I made a command decision. Instead of imploding, I said, I'm going to be the best logistician in the universe. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to serve my time, and I'm going to be the best logistics officer in the world. And lo and behold, we had the war in 2000, in 3. I came back, and all of a sudden, Force Recon, which was my ultimate destination, was my ultimate goal, opens up all MOSs. And I got assessed and selected because I chose to be the best logistician in the world. And that's what they were looking for, is a proven leader. And so here you are. This is very interesting because I'm going back to the leadership trait that you just shared. Somebody believed in you and they empowered you. This very leadership trait that you are emphasizing right now, it all started a long time ago when you wanted to be in first base and they said, no, you're going to be in center field. I believe in you, and I'm here to tell you that you're going to be the best ever. You're going to help us win championships upon championships. And you believed it. And now today, you're doing the same thing for everyone else because you realize the power in that. You realize the power. Man, it's incredible when you look at somebody and you start talking truth in their life, saying, listen to me, the potential inside you is incredible. And the day that you realize it, and the day that you actually engage in it, is the day that you are going to be unstoppable. And that's what you're doing today. I love that, man. Before we go into the second one about your driving ideology, tell me a little bit more about this leadership trait. Tell me something how it's just maybe a story on how effective it's been and how you're looking back saying, man, I just can't believe because of this influence I've had. Look at what's happening now in another person, on a team, in a unit, wherever it may be. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that everything comes down to the people you surround yourself with. And I think this impacts every area of your life. I mean, it's all about relationships, right? And so I've seen it bleed into everything. The people in the booth I sit next to, when I'm speaking at an event, the people are preparing the way, and then I come in and get to share a stage just like you do. You're only as good as the people around you, right? It's everybody kind of has their role. And I've seen this lived out in my entire life as a coach. I actually, the last 3 years, I've been working with Team Israel with their youth teams, 18 and under, 22 and under, 13 and under. And so I'm trying to just get these people to not only learn and grow, but also have this belief that, again, what I think, I think what I call it is, everybody knows about limiting beliefs, right? Things that hold us back. Like I don't think I can do that. And so therefore you struggle and you don't ever maybe overcome that hump, right? But then I talk about lifting beliefs. If I was around those athletes. Like they believed that no matter what is put in front of them, like we talked about, a lot of times we walked from the field and we won before we even started the game. And so I know that you obviously you understand this because although ours was a sport and you guys are the real heroes, right? I was thankful we got to actually go down to Coronado in the Navy SEALs, and we got to do like a little training exercise with them. And you guys do what really allows us to be able to shine, right? You guys give us the freedom to go out and travel this world and feel safe here, especially at home. But I love the camaraderie about representing our country and this idea of it's all about team, and we're going to win. We're going to win, right? And I just want to share too, really quick. Um, I ended up moving back my last year in college to first base, as well as on the Olympic team. The last Olympics, I went to 3 Olympics. My third Olympics, I became a mom, actually took a year off. And then my son was 3 when I won my last gold medal. And they actually, coach moved me to first base. I hadn't played it in 7 years. And all of a sudden we're at this tournament and he's like, hey, out of nowhere, he's like, I want you to go back to first. And so here's what I also think happens when you show and prove yourself trustworthy to be able to say, hey, whatever challenge is given to me, I'm going to find a way and I'm going to lead from whatever position or role or title I have or don't have. That's part of my message, Damon, is that you don't have to have the title of captain. If they see these qualities, a lot of times you're going to be elevated. But even if you're not, be that leader. Lead from whatever role, whatever position, however young or however old you are. Because when you do that, you're going to display these leadership skills that are needed regardless of a title. So it was amazing. I won my third gold medal. And I got to tell one more quick thing. I came back from having my son, took a year off, joined the team again. Now we have all these young, amazing, talented, quick athletes that are strong, fast. They're all of it. And now I'm a veteran. I'm 27 at the time, and we go to the World Championships in Canada. And we get to the championship game against Japan, who was really like our toughest opponent at this point. And we get into the finals of the World Championships. I got my 1-year-old son there with my mom watching and my husband in the stands, and I get up with our first runner. She gets on, she's still second, and then I end up getting a hit up the middle, same type of hit that happened at the Women's College World Series, and we end up winning 1-0. And I got the winning RBI to bring home the World Championship gold medal. And that was my comeback of like, okay, I took a year off, I had my son, I got in the best shape of my life after that. And although these athletes coming up maybe had more physical talent, I realized like there's nothing that can beat mindset, heart, and I can play with the best still, even if they overcome some physical abilities. And so, honestly, true storybook ending. We ended up with my third gold medal at the Athens Olympics in Greece and dominated. And actually, there's a picture for anybody watching this at Sports
No big
Illustrated. We were
deal.
called the Real Dream Team. So it was amazing.
It's no big deal. And all you ladies out there, you can have you can have a kid and still win a gold medal. It's not a big deal, right? I mean, I'm going to tell you, and I'm so worried that this podcast is going to go long because these stories are just too amazing. There's no way I can edit any of this stuff. You're reminding me of the power of believing in yourself, right? And the reality is that when you had that kid, immediately there, I hear it all the times. Like once you start having kids, let's forget about it. Your dreams are out the door. No, that's not true. It's not true at all because mindset is everything. You said it yourself. Mindset is everything. And you said something that was very profound. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's listening, hear this right now from Olympic and world champion, right? Leah, she says that they won before they even went out there and played. They won before the show even started. That's huge, which is a perfect segue with, please, Miss Leah, everybody's dying to understand and appreciate. What exactly is your driving ideology? What is it that every day you're getting after it? Because you haven't stopped. From the day that you were the designated hitter to the day you won that championship to the day that you went back and won more championships after having a kid to being in the booth today, coaching globally. What is your driving ideology? What keeps you up at night? What keeps you driving when things get hard, when things get difficult, when the tornadoes are coming? Many people run away, not you. You run toward. So tell us, what is your driving ideology?
For me, and it started in college, was that God has a purpose for me, and every day is a gift.
Mm.
And there's adventure out there, and that's in the good and the bad. And people, People need hope. Honestly, for me, I feel like, again, I've gone through good times, I've gone through hard times. Sometimes people wouldn't think it because of maybe the look on my face, right? I think some people really are able to just deal with adversity. But for me, I know God has a purpose for all of it. And in college, it was a teammate who shared with me that, God loved me and he had a plan for my life. And it allowed me to just have this new perspective. I thought I knew God, but I didn't. And I made a decision when I was 19 years old to say, God, I want to follow you. I surrender everything to you. And Damon, when I heard you talk at my church years ago, I just connected with your passion with that. Like, I'm going all in. I'm not going to do something half-hearted. Just like as an Olympian, I'm going to live for God this way. And God showed me your platform for softball is to be used for a bigger purpose. People will listen because you have gold medals, but tell them how much they have value. They're loved. They have worth. And Damon, one last thing, because I know you're big on this too. So many people walk around and they don't feel worthy. They feel like something that's happened from their past, or they use excuses and they have that victim mentality. I am so passionate about living out my purpose and wanting others to know they can do it too, but they've got to figure out how to live in victory. And so really God ultimately is the foundation of it, but it's living out my purpose, and I know that it's still out there. So every day there's more.
So I'm not ashamed of telling anyone and everyone that I'm a Jesus follower. I am. I'm not a religious person. Jesus hated religion. He hated, he hated, those paradigms. When you said that God has a plan, that's what I share. I have the distinct honor to speak on many stages. I speak predominantly in corporate, arenas today. I started out in the faith-based arena. I've spoken at nonprofits. I've spoken in, universities as keynotes. And regardless of where I go, I always share there's a plan in your life that out of 8 billion people in the whole world, that the creator of the universe, who I call God, has an incredible plan for you and he loves you. I even go a step further and I go, and he knows you by name. I believe that down to the core of my soul. That's not religious at all. I believe it to be true. I believe those are facts. And you said something interesting because man, I'm feeling it now. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. Like, I don't know if you're the perfect child. You seem like one. Okay, you do. I'm sure you had your hiccups, but man, I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid. I was. My mom didn't think so. Right? She's like, oh, these are my two little angels, my twin brother and I. Yeah, we had horns holding up the halo, and man, like I made just so many mistakes. But I'm telling you what, there's a statement, and listeners, this is just how I am. This is how I feel. This is my conviction. There's a statement that says that with much sin is much forgiveness. And so I believe in a forgiving God. I believe in a God of love, and a God of purpose. And so just like you, God has a plan in your life, and He has a plan in my life. And I believe special operations, and that doesn't define me. Softball doesn't define you. Your ultimate calling does.
Yeah.
You want to bring hope to a lost and broken world. That's what you're doing. You're trying to encourage people, empower them, and say, man, believe in yourself, because check this out. I believe in you, but down deep inside, when the moment comes, I know you do the same thing that I do. It's like, I'm not the only one that believes in you. He does. He's got a plan and a purpose in your life. That's so powerful. And it's undeniable, right? It's undeniable. We believe that. And I believe that he's been an instrument of war in your life, just like in mine. We're all called in different places. God called you to, be in softball and in that arena, and you are making an atomic impact. I really appreciate that. And yeah, it was wonderful meeting you. And that's why we're still connected and we're still being an unstoppable force for good together. World changers. So let me ask you another question. As we continue to listen, every word that you're sharing. I mean, I'm interviewing you and you're getting me. Yeah, I'm like, oh dude, man, this is good. This is really good, right? So, Miss Leah, you've been on many teams. Many championship teams, undeniable. Like, I mean, I'm sure that walking into your I love me room, I'm sure that there's more medals in there than even the ones that you just talked about. Victories everywhere. You said you got to live in victory, right? Here on this earth and above. So tell us organizationally, when you're leading a team, when you're coaching a team, when you're the captain of a team, right? And this is your team. What is the one thing you want to press upon our audience? Thousands of listeners, they want to hear what the world champion, Olympic champion has to say. You're running an organization, you're running a team. These are your people. You're trying to empower them. What's the one thing within this organization, within that team that you want to instill on people? Go ahead.
Together, you'll go farther than you ever will alone. That it's all about unity. That when you work together and you support each other and you can put your individual focus aside, that it's all about you. I think that's the biggest challenge we face today. I think the world we live in, the selfie culture, how many likes do I get? I think it really dilutes, what matters most. And it's all about connecting and collaborating and charging together. Damon, you would have never done what you did alone. I would have never done what I did alone. And I really believe, although I played with superstars, people who physically can do so much more than I could, I believe I had some of those intangibles. And that's what I try to instill, is that there is a place for everyone, that every role matters, whether it's a backseat role for a little while. I had to play that role too on my first Olympic team. But whatever role you're playing, do it to the best of your ability and let's do it together. If everybody is heading in that same direction, then it's the beautiful thing is we're allowed to be a team and everybody can bring out their best, because everybody can't be the same or you'll never get anywhere. Right? And so join forces together. That's what we're doing today, Damon. You're interviewing so many different people who are being world changers, and we're doing it together in our own arena and area of influence. And for me, it happened to be the foundation of the sport of softball. It's also extended beyond those borders, but that's, I'll continue to give back to what gave so much life to me. And so it's all about unity and joining and linking arms in true support, because you can't force it. You can't force people to be a good teammate. You can't force people to be supportive. If you have some people and are like wanting that person next to them to fail so that they can get the chance, it's going to cause problems.
So I'm going to tell you, unity is so key, and you're so right. You made a statement. There are always people on your team that had so much talent. They had gifts, and I'm sure you covet them at times. I know you did, right? It's like, man, I wish I could hit that ball the way that she did. I wish that I could throw the ball, do a pitch at that speed, right? I'm going to tell you personally, like you, there's no way that I am where I am on my own. There's like 100 people, maybe 1,000 people along the way that were critical in different times in my life to help me get from point A to point Z, right? And I'll be the first person to tell you, in special operations, I'm definitely not one of the best. I was surrounded by the best. It's actually how I got where I am. It's the way I became a commander, and the reason why I felt that my command was successful, in my eyes, is because I surrounded myself with people that were more talented, that were smarter, they were faster, they were stronger, and I listened to them and I learned from them and I gleaned from them. I may have been their commander, right? But the reality is that they were teaching me a whole lot more than I was ever teaching them. And the reality is that we were able to accomplish some incredible things overseas because of unity, because of team. You said this, you will go much farther as a team than you will alone. And that is a big problem that we have. Unity is key, because check it out. Without team, what do you have? And I believe that that's one of the reasons why you are very, very successful. If you could get everybody to play their absolute best, which is a part of your leadership style, you're empowering them, believe in you, because I believe in you, right? And you're sitting there saying, look, there's a plan in your life, and it's great, it's awesome, it's perfect, it's not bad, it's not evil, but we have to do it as a team. Oh, this is getting really good. This is getting really, really good. So here we are, you're winning championships, right? And you're encouraging everybody, listen, we got to do this together. We win together and we lose together. But at the end of the day, we're together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fact. That's not just common in championships. It's common in the military. We win and we lose together. This is the way it works. It's a Spartan mentality. It's a mindset, right? This is how we do business. So, Miss Leah, all right. So here you are now, right? You're not a, you know, you're not a Padawan anymore. No, you're not a Jedi. You're a Master Jedi now. We're a little older. We're a little wiser. Not as fast, but still pretty good looking. Okay, I got to say that. You know, we got some goods. We you know we got our strengths. So we're older. Okay, we're Master Jedi's. So here we are, and we're trying to connect with people. Right, we want to serve them. How are you doing that? How are you connecting to this next generation? How are you? Because you said it yourself. You're out there coaching, you know, softball in Israel, and they're young women, right? So what are you doing? And you're an inspiration. I saw you on ESPN, and all these young college players are surrounding you. So you're not just in the booth, right, talking. You're down there, and everybody wants to hang out with you. You know why? Because they want to hear what you have to say. So how are you connecting? How are you communicating? Go ahead, Miss Leah.
Through any opportunity that arises, I obviously there's some things you need to filter and decide what is the best thing. So I have to say no to some things. For me, my family, my youngest son, I have three boys. My youngest is 16. He's a junior. So I have two in high school that are about to be done. I think that's the first thing is honoring my family. But my husband so supports what I go out and do. I travel, I speak, I do softball, do commentating. I do, so many different things. I do a little bit of coaching, like you just mentioned, in the summer overseas and internationally. And ultimately, like I really, and I think this is similar to you, Damon, like I go into so many different environments. And so I really try to decide what is the takeaway? What is the win, right? When I take the field, it's like, okay, who's the opponent? What do we have to do to win, to walk out of here, right? And what's that challenge? And so depending on the audience, and so for young athletes and female athletes, I've been involved with this organization called Faces of Total Victory. It's a newer ministry. I have this Bible right here for anybody watching, and it's the ministry is called Faces of Total Victory, but faces actually is an acronym that stands for female athletes and coaches engaged in sports. And this is something that I know the founder. I'm on the board of directors. I'll be speaking actually next week in South Carolina. By the time this comes up, it'll probably already happen. But to female athletes and coaches, and I think it's just this niche that when I've been involved with a lot of different fellowship Christian athletes, athletes in action. Those ministries have impacted me in such a big way. But I love the idea of focusing specifically on female athletes because we've seen the growth and the explosion of it. I have been a benefit of Title IX and the women that came before me that didn't have those opportunities. So now I will share any opportunity I get. I love being able to. We had a sports devotional Bible that I helped get athletes in all different sports, female athletes, female coaches, to just write part of their story. Because some of the things that women and female athletes deal with, identity and relationship stuff, and maybe not feeling strong enough, or whatever those different things are, friends and healthy relationships. With that, I feel like I just want to just let them know they're not alone. And even if it's just a college softball team I'm speaking to, I have opportunities to do that at times. The one thing when I walk away is they'll just say, how did she know all those things? Did she just talk to our coach? But I'm like, no, it's because there's nothing new under the sun. These same issues that so many people deal with, they're just consistent. No matter if I'm speaking in California or I'm speaking in New York or I'm speaking in Florida, the issues that kids are going through, the issues that adults still deal with, they're very, very similar at the core. And what it comes down to is just people wanting to know they have value, to know that there is hope, right? And so when you ask, what I'm doing, ultimately, I'll take opportunities to go speak. I'll do still some softball clinics. I don't do them a lot anymore. I used to do them all the time, but I'll still do that because you know what? There might be a 9-year-old in that crowd. And at the end of the camp, when I teach them softball and I get to tell part of my story, that might be the one thing
Mm,
that just inspires this little girl to
mm.
go on and become, the next superstar in the sport of softball. And so I just take opportunities and I really try to hit their hearts, young and old. The parents, sometimes I get to address the parents, right? Like you, Damon, and they'll be the ones that will come up and say they took away from my message, the thing that's going to impact their life. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I want what I share to inspire them to action, to go out and to follow their passions, their dreams, but to make a difference in this world in a positive way.
So, this is This is incredible because storytelling is really one of the most potent weapons that a speaker, a leader can not only embrace, but if you master it and you're able to share it and connect with people. I love what you said with this, with the book and the organization that you're part of, that there's all these stories that you're connecting with coaches and particularly female athletes and 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 these are stories that resonate with individuals. And as you yourself, you're a powerful speaker. You've got the credibility, you have the resume, you can communicate, in the most excellent manner. But if you can't storytell, if you can't deliver that message, regardless of how good you are at talking, you're just not going to win. I love what you said. What's the win here? What is the win? What does winning look like here? And it's about every stage. It's very unique, and making sure that you're connecting with your audience as a speaker, and that's where your message can be taken. Man, this is I'm going to tell you right now, listeners out there, all my viewers, man, Miss Leah is just crushing it here. If you just jumped in and this is the latter part, you gotta actually go right back from the beginning. Multiple world championships, multiple Olympics, gold medals, a coach, one of the, and it still to this day has the highest batting average in the championships. No big deal, right? Right. And the reality is that she's telling you that, that for her, as being an exceptional leader, the first thing is that, lead the way. I actually wrote that. She says, I believe in you and you need to believe in yourself, and that's an art, and she's leading the way. She has the experience, somebody believed in her, and now she's instilling that same belief in other people. We can win. You can win. You're an integral part of this team. And the second thing is that, look, there's a plan in your life, right? There's this higher calling that God has this incredible plan for you, and you got to believe it. If you don't know what that plan is, I'm telling you right now, and Leah's going to say the same thing, find it, because it's awesome and it's powerful, and you need to know because you only get one shot in life. And whatever it is that you do, you got to do it as a team. Unity is key. If you want to win, you got to win together. You're never going to go far alone. You're going to go all the way to the end and back as a team. And then lastly, what is she doing? Share your story, connect with people, share your humanity. You're a person too. I love what she's doing, and she's speaking all around the nation and the world. All right. So, Miss Leah, listen, I'm going to give you this last minute or two to kind of share any parting thoughts on our viewers and listeners. This is your opportunity to talk to them. And I'm just going to say there's a lot of young, we're going to push this out. We're going to do this a little bit different than the other podcasts. I'm going to make sure we put a lot of time, money, and energy in making sure that this goes out to the population of female athletes, and to coaches around. We're going to do that because they need to hear what you just said. So you got the parting shot, you got the last minute or so. Please, what do you want to share with anybody who's listening to multi-world and Olympic champion Miss Leah? Go ahead.
When I was at Arizona and I was 22 years old, and a month after winning my third national championship and heading off into Team USA, I got a phone call, and one of my teammates, 21 years old, passed away in her sleep. She had diabetes. She had had some complications. And I'll never forget at her funeral, she was the one who shared her faith with me, shared all about God and his plan. And I remember just saying, you know what? I'm going to make a difference no matter what from this day forward. I don't know how many days I have on this earth, but she was ready and she made a difference in my life. And so I wanted to do that for everybody I met. I wanted people to one day say, man, she was the real deal. She was passionate and lived for the right things. And so I talk a lot about the gold standard now. I have a podcast, the Gold Standard Podcast. I'm finishing up my book about what I believe helped all these intangibles. It doesn't take a certain level of intelligence or skill. Like, you can make a difference right where you are. You can be a leader. And I see if you just do things the right way and right and know and believe in yourself, like you talked about, and surround yourself with the right people, that's the key, Damon. And so I just want to encourage all of your listeners to go out and figure out what that gold standard is for you. I won gold with it, but beyond my Olympics, I feel like I've been able to just find success and victory in my family, in my, speaking, in commentating and coaching and all these different areas because of how I do things, not what I do. And so I just want to impact all of you. Go make a difference for good. You have it inside of you. Just have to say yes. And you just have to take action. Take the next step. Even if you can't see beyond that next step, take the next step. That's all I've done. And it's opened up a world of opportunities for me.
Man, Miss Leah, you just crushed it. Thank you so much for being on the Damon Friedman Show. How can people find you? Somebody right now is listening is like, I got to have this. I got to have this. This champion, at my corporate event or at my faith based event. Like, how can they get a hold of you? Can you please just share your website, please?
My website is leahamico.com, Leahamico, leahamico.com. And then I'm on social media, Leah20USA, my number, always be number 20. And yeah, and then on the podcast, The Gold Standard with Leah Amico is my podcast as well.
That's awesome. And you know what? This organization that you're working with right now with the book, how can our listeners tap in, find out, get a copy, learn more about the work that you're doing? You're a board of director, you're one of the leaders, you are a spokesperson. Where can they go to get that? Because we're going to put all that here on the podcast so that people understand, a little bit more about where to find you and what you're doing and how to follow you. So what is this organization?
Yeah, it's facesoftotalvictory.org, O-R-G. So just plug in Faces of Total Victory and you'll find it. And then you'll be able to go to the website and the Bibles, these sports devotional Bibles specifically for your female athlete or your female coach. I know it would impact them in such a powerful way.
So there you have it, Miss Leah Amico. If you want to know where to find her, leahamico.com. She's bad to the bone. She's a champion of champions. She's a leader of leaders. She's a gold medalist, and she promised that not only can I touch her gold medals, but I can wear them, and I promise not to run away because she will have security guards. Leah, thank you so much for being on our podcast. You are truly a world changer. You are really an unstoppable force for good, and continue to be who you are. Continue to just be strong and courageous, regardless of the adversity out there. You were born to be a champion, and you're going to pass away into eternity as one. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This is the Damon Friedman Show. It's not just a podcast, it's a movement. May the commander of the universe be with you, and Godspeed.